Marc has spent 29 years in the Australian electricity industry. He's been involved in every state market deregulation of electricity, has negotiated electricity contracts of up to $100 million, which I think would cover just about everyone in this room. So please welcome to the podium Mr. Marc White from Goanna Energy.
Thanks very much, David. I'm here to talk about electricity. The positive observations that I'd like to make about the RWTA and its members. Firstly, clearly naming the National Conference Improved Profitability Through Energy Efficiency is clear recognition of the threats and opportunities that increasing electricity prices have on your businesses. I've just finished going around Tasmania doing 17 small business energy efficiency workshops for the state government. And about a third of the time we spent on those workshops was about behavioural change with energy. And then when we experienced the droughts, etc. in 2007, utility prices have taken off, and none more so than electricity, which is the blue line at the top here. Because there's so many components that make up an electricity bill that mainstream media finds it hard to educate consumers about what's really going on. And so today, time permitting, I'm going to take you through a few of these components, and we're going to look at each one individually and say, okay, well, what's happening to each of these components that make up my electricity bill so I can understand and plan for the future. We're going to focus a lot on the energy network side of things today because this has been, for the last few years, one of the fastest growing components of your bill. So it's the component in your bill that's grown at the most rapid rate of recent times. And the Electricity Networks Association themselves are saying, $42 billion of capital spend has already been approved. The importance of optimising your network tariff from being 50% of your bill to being 60 to 70% of your bill is going to become even more important in some respects than your actual energy contract itself. So what's driving all this investment in electricity infrastructure is simply this, particularly this issue of peak demand. In every case, the growth of peak demand, that is the coldest day in winter or the hottest day in summer, is outstripping the overall demand growth. And the difficulty, of course, is when you're building an electricity generator or you're building an electricity network, those two things have to cope with either the coldest day in Tasmania or the hottest day in South Australia. It's got to be built to cope with that one hour of the year that everybody's got their reverse cycle air conditioner on.
Can you tell me why the distribution companies, the network companies are so much against demand-side response? Back about 6-7 years ago, we used to participate with a company called Energy Response. And that was a great way to trim off the demand of the system at times of very high spot prices.
Well, certainly I can think of two specific examples in the last month where I've actually seen CEOs of electricity network companies talking about actively having programs for demand-side management. But I think now that public scrutiny of these network price rises has got to the point where the CEOs of these companies are now actively involved in initiatives around demand-side response. Actually, the thing I wanted to draw attention to there was whilst these forward prices for electricity have come down, if you have a look at this graph on the left here, it's the assumed capital cost of building a new coal-fired generator, combined cycle gas generator or an open cycle gas generator, and the cost difference between the regulator's 2005-2009 decision and their most recent 2010-2014 decision. So interesting to note, in every one of these cases, it's more expensive now to build a new piece of generation plant than it was the 5 years before. And so how long can this continue to come down when the costs of building new plants going up and the peak demand continues to rise? Because to me, these things can't coexist for an extended period of time. The mandatory renewable energy certificates, the large-scale ones, are making up about 2% of their bill. The small technology certificates, which is a new one from 1st of January this year, and the bills we're looking at, it's making up an additional 4%. One of my favourite comments from Roman Domansky, the Executive Director of the Energy Users Association, is, whilst the sun and the wind may be free, Marc, renewable energy is not. And, you know, we've had some speakers today talk about the payback period of some of the solar panels perhaps being, 14 to 20 year payback periods. Yes, solar panels have come down dramatically in price. Yes, wind turbines continue to come down dramatically in price, but they are still, as we stand here today, still more expensive than the conventional coal and natural gas-fired generation sources. One of my mates has got a small cool store down in Hobart, and he rang me up and said, Marc, I'm thinking about investing maybe 20, maybe 30,000 in these solar panels because I've got a lot of roof space over my cool store. And I said, John, just before you do that, maybe I'll just come out and have a quick look around to see what you're doing with your electricity first. And, this was the first thing I saw. So everybody in this room already knows the answer, that the payback period for fixing this, was about 4 months. The payback period on the solar panels that John wanted to invest in was about 15 years. So I said to John, I'm happy for you to invest in the solar panels whenever you like, but please, can you fix this first? To highlight that example, the Tasmanian State Government did a report recently. It was called the Wedges Report, or they commissioned Maglen Magazanik, and their report found that in terms of the best opportunities to make carbon savings was actually energy efficiency. In most cases, and this was mainly commercial buildings, but in most cases when you invest in more efficient, better insulation, better controls and management of your air conditioning, you're actually going to put $440 per tonne of CO2 saved into your own pocket compared to buying a hybrid car and taking $98 out of your pocket in terms of the carbon saved. And the other interesting one I sort of noted was freight transport efficiency was also seen to be a very positive economic gain from improving efficiency in that. And this report's available on the Tas Government Climate Change website. One of our clients, Jim Miller, I went out and had a look at his facility compared to my mate John's to see what a larger scale commercial business was doing, and I was really pleased to see these air curtains around the truck and these high speed roller doors obviously making a lot of difference. And I guess the message from me today is, on the balance of probabilities, it looks to us as if electricity prices are going to continue to increase, year on year for the next probably 5 to 10 years, because a lot of these things are just factored into the system. And so with that in mind, your investment decisions, your operational and capital investment decisions, really need to start factoring in that sort of path. Thanks very much. I've taken up too much time already. You've been a wonderful audience. Don't forget to stay as long as you can in Tassie. Thank you.